All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, people. We will wait for another minute for everyone to join, and then we'll begin this gamified journey. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar of our latest offering, the Gamifix 365, revitalizing the Dynamics 365 CRM operations with fun games and activities. The perfect formula to improve productivity and gain higher ROI. Before we move ahead in this fun-filled session, let me outline the webinar logistics. Lines of all the participants will be muted throughout the session. In case of any question that arises in your mind, please feel free to ask them with the help of the chat window, and I assure you that I will try to answer most of the questions, if not all, depending on the time constraints. My name is Ninad, and I am the Business Development Manager for Inogic. Speaking of Inogic, we are a leading service provider and ISV for past more than a decade, and we have exclusive Dynamics 365 products. We are very much active in the Dynamics 365 community, and our blogs are not only extremely popular, but also appreciated by the community. We truly believe in the philosophy of one-click solution, which is building productivity apps that reduces multiple steps which otherwise a CRM user have to take. As you can see on the slide, we have various applications on the offering. I would like to take a moment and very briefly describe some of them. Mapletics. The first one is the Mapletics, which is a certified for Microsoft Dynamics 365, and it helps businesses around the world to plot, plan, visualize, and analyze the Dynamics CRM data on map and offers seamless mapping services. Key features include managing territories, route optimization, smart appointment planner, and many more. One of my favorite apps from the bouquet is the subscription and recurring billing management. The subscription and recurring billing management provides a robust platform for all the subscription-based businesses to seamlessly manage, streamline subscription and recurring billing processes right here within the Dynamics 365 CRM. Another pearl that we have is Map My Relationships. Map My Relationships is a productivity control that provides mind map view of the Dynamics 365 CRM data on a form. It helps the user to visualize connections and relationships between entities or related records in a single view. Apart from developing these awesome applications, we are also an SI. We do assist partners and customers with offshore development services. So in case you have any requirements ranging from customization to a world-changing idea, I would request you to get in touch with us on crm@inogic.com. So what shall we be discussing today? We'll start with the impact of the gamification. Then we'll talk very briefly about our new gamification app, the Gamifix 365. followed by a small yet effective live demonstration. And post demonstration, I'll open the floor for the question and answer sessions. All work, no play makes work life boring. And when work life is boring, then there is a minimum productivity. But with engaging games and activities, daily routine work can be made exciting and entertaining. A perfectly gamified CRM can be used to engage and motivate the users to give their best every day. This would reduce the time that is basically spent on the internet browsing and other distracting activities, as daily work has now become more engaging and fun with gamification. A lot of surveys have been conducted about having the advantages of gamifying the system. Many surveys indicates that up to 60% of the employees engagement, the employee engagement factor increases with gamification. Not just that, one of the surveys that we had also went through also suggests that companies with organized and effective gamification tends to make 7 times the profit as compared to the companies who haven't implemented the gamification. Why just talk about the companies? 90% of the employees say the gamification makes them more productive at work. So it's a no surprise that around 70% of the global 2000 companies have adopted gamification elements in their workplaces to improve the productivity of their workforces. Now, in the world of dynamics, as competition gets tougher, companies are ready to adopt out of the box solutions to stay ahead of competitors. And gamification is one such concept which has a huge potential to improve the productivity rate and, of course, the rate of returns of the organization. So, in a nutshell, the impact of the gamification can be seen on increased productivity, enhanced user engagement, increased job satisfaction, and above all, increased efficiency. Inogic is proud to present the user gamification module in a new avatar named Gamifix 365. Some of the key benefits I can say of gamifying Dynamics 365 CRM using our Gamifix 365 are, let's say, making the CRM daily routine work fun for the users. A perfectly gamified CRM can be used to engage and motivate the users to give their best every day. It also helps in rapid development of skill sets. According to a survey, 72% of the employees said that the gamification motivates them to work harder. Games encourages people to achieve and sometimes overachieve beyond their individual capacity. The awards, the recognition on achieving the target propels the CRM users to do their best. One of my favorite benefit of gamifying the system is encourage team building. Now, when I heard this term for the first time, even I had this doubt. How can a gamified system encourage the team building, which is of prime importance for organizations to function smoothly? There should be a good rapport between the team members. Now, the team games, which are available with Gamifix 365, uh, helps encourage the individuals to share their best practices with each other, sorry, to achieve a common target. Now, this inevitably leads to a higher productivity. No doubt, the team games encourage bonding between the team members. With that, let's have a very quick peek at some of the key features of Gamifix 365. The first and the foremost is the games itself. With Gamifix 365, we can create different types of engaging games like challenges, face-off, and race for CRM users. We'll be touch basing all of these games during the demonstration. The next feature of Gamifix 365 is the game rules. Every game must be played within the rules. Yes, we definitely want the users to win, but the game needs to be played by the rules, right? With game rules, the admin or the administrator can set the rules and conditions for the games to be played on individual level or for that matter on the team level. The third key feature of Gamifix 365 is the badges and rewards. Now, to boost the confidence and to provide that last bit of extra bit of inspiration, bestow badges and rewards to motivate the players that will eventually translate to achieving the organizational goals. The next feature is the scoreboard and the leaderboards. We can view the player performance on a real time through personalized Gamifix 365 scoreboards and the leaderboards. And one of the most important features is the mobile app. With Gamifix 365, you can enable the players to join the game and track the performance through a mobile app. That's true, a mobile app. With that being said, let's see the Gamifix 365 in action. For today's webinar purpose, I have already installed the Gamifix 365 and configured it with few games and game rules. Let me just switch to my CRM window. So here I have logged in as an administrator, and at the bare minimum, what I'm looking at is the leaderboards. Here you may observe that there are a lot of games that has already been created. Now we will talk about the purpose and the rules that we have set for these games in few moments. However, for time being, I can see that for Cold Call Warriors game, we have certain players who have already started playing the game, and we can see Rachel is currently leading with rank number 1, followed by Harvey at rank number 2, whereas Louis and Mike, they are yet to begin their journey on this particular game. So right here under the administration tab, you may find the Gamifix 365 Studio. I've already opened the Gamifix 365 Studio in a separate tab. Now here you may look at the game rules and the games. So as you can observe, I have already created multiple game rules. Now all these game rules have some or the other, they have been set for some or the other games. So I've tried to keep the name simple. So let's say the Cold Call Warriors game rule, or maybe the Account Creator Magnet game rule, or the Account Creator Magnet for Canada game, and so on. So before we go under the details of this, let me show you the purpose over here. So the three dots that are provided just besides the rule name will help you to view the rule, or to clone the rule, or activate, deactivate, and delete. So let's look at the rules of the game before we dive into the game itself. So here under the third tab, which is I have created I'm still under the Gamifix 365 Studio, and I have just hit the new rule. And once I hit the new rule, what happens is I can get all the game rules. So let's take a certain hypothetical conditions. We can create with Gamifix 365. We can create the rules and the games for almost each and every event that you can think of within the Dynamics 365 CRM. So a couple of scenarios that came in my mind before I was configuring the environment for the webinar is, let's try to create a game which can be which I have named it as Cold Call Warriors. So the name itself tries to justify what is the type of the game. So most of the enterprise organizations, they have the calling agents who actually give the calls, who make the cold calls day in and day out basis. Now, can we try to make a game out of it in which all the cold callers or the calling agents can then participate in the game and thereby start making more and more calls? Now, let's not forget the bottom line here. The overall gamification that we want to do is to achieve organizational goals. And the organizational goals can be achieved by creating more and more calls, thereby generating more and more leads, thereby more and more qualifying the leads as the prospect, and then closing the prospects with a proper orders. Now, with Gamifix 365, games can be created at each and every level that just now we discussed, whether it is creating more number of calls, whether it is creating more number of leads, a new game can be created with the new rules, whether it is then further converting the lead into a prospect by clicking on the qualifier. So even that can be considered as an event on which the game can be designed. So the possibilities are endless. So let's see how easy it is to create a game room. For time being, let's stick to the cold call warriors. So in case of the cold call warriors, I have already opened up the rules that we have used for cold call warriors game. So let me first briefly talk about this rule which we have already created, and then I'll switch back to the blank rule. So at the prima facie, I have given the rule name with a short name of that particular rule. This description is completely optional, but this might help us with the webinar itself. So this rule will ensure that 10 points are awarded to the agent who is creating a record of the phone call entity. Now that makes sense, because the more and more the cold calls are being made, all these cold calls will be entered as a phone call entity in the CRM with the outgoing direction. So the points needs to be awarded only if the phone call entity, the record of the phone call entity is being created with the outgoing direction. Now, what type of record is this? So it's a phone call, and the event for that particular selected type of record is create, and which date should be used is created on, and who should get the score is the one who is actually creating this particular record. Further, how do you want to calculate the score? Now, we have provided a couple of options. One is the actual field value, and the second is the fixed points. Now, as you can see on the screen, for this rule, I have set it to the fixed points of 10. However, in one of the real-time scenario, let's say we are talking about converting a lead into a prospect, we might have a field value, something like a budget or something like a estimate. So we can also use those field values by selecting the first option, which is the actual field value. Further, how do you want to filter the records for which this rule must apply? Now, this can be made it in a couple of ways. Whether you want to just assign the 10 points on the phone call entity record being created, or with an outgoing direction condition applied. So if you just want to have a simple one, we can select the simple and we can get all the system views which are present. However, in my case, I had a special condition, that is, only if the record of the phone call entity is being created with the outgoing direction, only in that case the 10 points should be awarded, and that's why I've selected advanced. And once we select advanced, all we need to do is just go under the advanced find and run that particular query, download the fetch XML with the conditions that satisfy your criteria, and just copy paste the fetch XML. So here you may notice the condition has already been applied, which is the direction code, and the value is outgoing. So that's how easy it is to create a game rule. So having said that, let me just go back to the previous tab, and this is where I have a blank game rule. So here we may give the name of the rule. However, what I want to show is this. What type of record is this? Now, in the previous version, we had seen a phone call. However, the Gamifix 365 supports everything. This is where I want to describe. The Gamifix 365 takes care of all the events associated with any of the entities that are available with the CRM. So whether it is, let's say, even if for that matter an account is created and you want to award the agents who are creating the account, we can select the account entity, and events that are associated with the account can be set over here. Also, let's say I was talking about a lead. So every time someone qualifies a lead, I want to assign certain points. So we can select the type of the record as lead, and we can then continue with let's say qualify lead. So I get the event of that, not just about the sales. This can also be used for even the case management. So every time a case has been generated and we want to award the points to the agents who are successfully closing that particular case, even that can be achieved with the help of Gamifix 365. So once we have the rules set, the next part is where we go ahead for the games. So let me just go under the administration in the games tab. So this is the game that I want to touch base on, the lead qualifiers. I'm sorry, we were talking about the cold call warriors. So let me just go ahead and let's talk about the cold call warriors. So with the cold call warriors, this is where we have designed this particular game. And we have, for simplicity, before we explore the game in detail, let me show you how a blank entry looks like. So here is where we can create a new game. We can provide the name, we can provide the optional description, we can give the start date and the end date to this particular game. So this start date and the end date basically just sets when the game needs to be started and when the game needs to end. However, let me just scroll down to the next attribute, which is the select the type of the game. So as mentioned earlier, Gamifix 365 supports the challenges, the face-off, and the race. So the challenge and race-off, the basic difference between challenge and race-off. Let's say if I'm just selecting the challenge and if I go to the race, you may notice one of the extra attributes, which is the target. So target is basically, it's a race. So race should have a target. So that's the basic difference between a challenge and a race. A challenge is ongoing till the time of the end date, whereas a race will finish the moment anyone achieves that particular target. So the third type of the game, it's a very, very interesting game, the fantasy. Or sorry, the face off. The face off is basically between a couple of users that they want to whenever there are only two users and you want to determine who is coming number one, that is where we are selecting the face off. However, if I go to challenge, the challenge can be played between the fantasy teams and the users. Now, fantasy teams has taken the world by the storm, no doubt about that. And we have tried to replicate the same fun within the CRM. So remember some time back, I had mentioned that with Gamifix 365, one of the key benefit is encouraging the team bonding. So let me tell you with fantasy teams how that can also be achieved. Let's assume that there is a race which is going on between multiple users of the sales team. So the sales team members are moving mountains to achieve and probably overachieve their target. So the fun lies only within the sales team. Every sales team member might be checking their ranking, their points on a weekly, daily, or even for that matter, hourly basis. But what about the other teams which are working in the organization? The accounts team, for example, might be missing the fun, or the operations team might be missing the fun. No worries. Fantasy team is their key to fun. With fantasy team, any non-participating CRM user can create their own teams with the players that they think are the best. And then even non-participating user can enjoy the fun of the games. What's more is that even non-participating user can motivate the participating user to push their limits. Reason? Because the non-participating user will win only when his or her fantasy team wins. That's the power of gamification. No wonder, as I had mentioned earlier, many surveys find a boost in the overall profits once the gamification is implemented. The next attribute is the behavior of the game. Now, basically, it can take either the private or the public. Once it's the private, the administrator has to add the players which he intends to play with the help of the player stack. However, if we keep the behavior of the game as public, the CRM user will be able to join the game voluntarily. However, there is still one more checkpoint, which is the security rules. Now, the security rules or the allowed rules in this case enables that the CRM user has the necessary role to join the game. Now, this comes in handy in situations like, let's say, if the game is about achieving the sales target, then it is imperative that the game should be played among the CRM users who has any sales role related with them. However, if there is a game that as per your business requirement, you don't want any particular role to be associated, keep it blank. The moment we keep it blank, any CRM user will be able to join that particular game. Let's continue. Let me go back to the game that we were talking about, which is the Cold Call Warriors. So just trying to compare the attributes that we saw and see what we are trying to achieve here. So I've given the name as the Cold Call Warriors. I've also given a description. Of course, that is optional. However, it helps me as an administrator to even remember, because I might be creating more and more games. Now, this game is designed to motivate and encourage the calling agents to make more and more calls and thereby earn badges at various milestones. Now, that brings me to a new word, the badges. Now, I touch base the badges in some time. I've set the start of the game as yesterday, the end of the game by. So I want this game to be played only for the month of June, and that's why I've set the end date to 30th June. This type of game is a challenge, and the game is between users. Now, you may notice that here all the fields are locked. The reason is the game is already in progress. So here you can also see the status. The game is already in progress, and that's why it's not able to. We are not able to change the values here. Now, one of an interesting thing is the allow players to join the game if the game is in progress. Now, if this flag is set the way in which we have set it right now, it ensures that the CRM user doesn't miss the fun bus. Now that's quite possible. Like, when the game started, as a salesperson, let's say I am on leave or I was busy with some with a meeting, because of which I was not in this particular office premises, and I was not able to join the game. However, I, as a salesperson or a sales rep, I'm extremely confident that even if I'm joining the game a couple of days late, I am still able to achieve and overachieve the targets and win the race or win the challenge. Is it possible that I can join the game once the game has already been started? This flag determines the value. If this flag has been set to yes, then the players will be able to join the game even though the game is already in progress. Now, with that being said, let me go. Once we set all these values, we can then go to the game rules tab, and within the game rules tab, I have set the rule that we had discussed some time back, the Cold Call Warriors game rule. Now, just to refresh the memory very quickly, the Cold Call Warriors game rule is used to assign 10 points to the calling agent if an record of a phone call entity has been created in the outgoing direction. That's what the game rules is all about. Moving to the third one is the players. Now, since I have logged in as the administrator, I can also see who all players have already joined the game, and they have what are the total points that they have scored. Let's move to the next one, which is the game badge and rewards. Now, the game badge and the rewards act as a lot of motivating factor. So here I have said that we need to give a bronze badge in case the user achieves 50 points, gold badge in case if 250 points have been achieved, and a silver badge in case 100 points are achieved. So if I translate this to a rule, 10 points were allocated for every phone call. So that means after every 5 calls, the user is going to get a bronze badge. After 10 calls, the user is going to get a silver badge, and after 25 calls, the user is going to get a gold badge. Now, this can be completely configured as per your business requirements. And to do that, we also have badges. So under the badges, under the administration badges, I have created 3 badges, the gold, silver, and bronze. And then within the game, I am using those badges and determining the points on which the badges will be, the badges will be allocated. Let's go to the fourth and a crucial one, which is earned points. Now, when I say crucial, it also means that we have a player, the game rule, the points that were awarded, and above all, we can also navigate to the record URL because of which these 10 points were awarded to the player. So if I just hit on this particular record, it is going to basically take me to that record of the phone call entity because of which the 10 points were awarded to Rachel. So this is the entry that she had done. Notice the direction. Now, since the direction is outgoing, that's the reason the 10 points have been awarded to Rachel. Works well in this case. As an administrator, you can also see the earned badges and rewards. So here you may notice that Rachel has been awarded the bronze one. The reason being, Rachel had a good number of points. So since Rachel had already 60 points and the bronze badge was supposed to be awarded on the completion of 50 points, that's the reason Rachel already has the bronze badge. And if you just observe, even Harvey is not far away. One more phone call, and I'm sure even Harvey is going to get that particular badge. Perfect. So that's how easy it is once we talk about creating the game rules and then applying the game rule to that particular game. With that being said, let me just show you how Harvey is going to look at his view. So I've already logged in as Harvey. So here's Harvey, and he has just I've just logged in as a Harvey, and within the login of Harvey, the user, I can see a beautifully defined activities in the timeline. So you have earned 10 points at what date and for what action everything has been done. How many points he has earned till date, how many games he has played. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any badges, fine. But I can see a good avatar over here that Harvey has set for himself. This is the right section, which is the badges to earn. It definitely acts as a motivational factor. So I can earn the bronze for the cold call warriors. I can earn the silver. I can earn the gold. So this is where I am now trying to go ahead and motivate the users. Also, as you can see, Harvey is a part of couple of games, which is the account creator magnet. This game has been completed and he ranked number 2nd in that particular game. And the one game which is currently live, which is the cold call warriors, he's at the 2nd position. Perfect. So let us do one thing. Let me try to go under my CRM, and I've just pre-populated a new phone call, and let's say Harvey is making a phone call. He's basically giving a sales pitch of map my relationships. So it's one of our product, and let me just select a record. Now this is just for a demonstration purpose. I just want to create a phone call record, and I need to ensure that the direction is in the outgoing. In case if I change it to incoming, since it is not adhering to the game rule, the point will not be allocated or awarded. So let me hit on direction as outgoing, and let's try to save this. So perfectly done. So I have created a phone call entry, and let me go back to my user profile. Let's give Gamifix 365 a couple of movements here and there, and let me hit on refresh. Okay, let's wait for some few moments. In the meantime, I'll switch back to my administrator login. And since this is a cold call warriors, Harvey had around 40 points. Let me try to refresh this. Oh, here it is. Now Harvey has 50 points. Perfect. Now let me go back to my Harvey's login and now try to refresh. And once I refresh, I would also like you to, I would also request you to observe the your badges section. Lovely. So what happened, just because I made a phone call, Harvey previously had 40 points, the 40 points that he had. With one phone call in the outgoing direction, he earned another 10 points, which makes him eligible for the bronze badge. And since he has now the bronze badge, he's now he is yet to remain or yet to earn only the silver and the gold. So when I see, as a sales rep, when I see all these badges under my your badges section, it definitely motivates me to achieve more and more result. The same applies to even the agents who are handling the cases, who are handling the leads, and so on and so forth. Okay, then. So we saw about the Harvey's login. Now, I also want to touch base on a couple of interesting types of games that I want to discuss. So let me go under the games, and you can see a lot of games which are available. Some of them are in progress, some of them are completed, some of them are yet to even start, which is scheduled. So the first thing that I want to touch base is a conditional lead qualifier. So let's see what happens is. Now, before I go ahead, let's talk about the lead qualifier. So let's say ideally I have one of the game in which once the lead has been qualified, some certain set of awards or the points needs to be awarded to the user. However, one of the most common query that I get personally for Gamifix 365 is, can we have multiple rules? Can we create multiple game rules? Because that's what the business states. Let's say, for an example, let's talk about a hypothetical company which is situated in US, and they have started doing their business in US, and they also aspire to go ahead and expand the business to Canada or maybe to Asia Pacific region and so on. So what we can do is we can also motivate the users in a way by defining the game rules that if you qualify a lead of the US, for example, you might get 100 points. However, if the lead is which is qualified is from a APAC region, the Asia Pacific region, or from a Canada, then instead of 100, you will be awarded 200 points. Now that acts as an additional motivation for me, and that is completely supported by Gamifix 365. Now, as you can see, I have given the name as conditional lead qualifier, and under the game rules, I have a couple of rules that have been set. Now, for the webinar's purpose, I have said that I have a lead qualifier game rule, and a lead qualifiers game rule in case if the revenue is greater than 1000. So if I just show you that particular rule in this case, so here we have a revenue which is greater than 1000. It's again the same fetch XML that has been given. So in case if a revenue is greater than 1000, then 100 points will be allocated, and so on. In case if, so let me show you the, so here I have applied the industry code. So in case if the organization wants to target, let's say, agriculture sector or maybe aviation sector, so we can target it with the help of the industry code as well. Now that's where the gamification brings life to the sales operations as well as any other domain, maybe it is case solving or any other aspects as well. So point is, we can apply multiple game rules to a game. And what happens is, every time in this case a lead is qualified, the Gamifix 365 will check which rule or the criteria under which rule is being satisfied, and depending upon the rule, the points will be awarded to the user. Interesting, right? So another type of game that I want to touch base is the fantasy teams. Now with fantasy teams, like I said, the fantasy teams has taken the world by storm, right? Encouraging team building or the team bonding activity, definitely yes. Now how that can be achieved, let me show you the game first, and let me show you the players. So there are a couple of players, which is Adam and Andrew. They have, in fact, they are Adam and Andrew are the users, and they have created the team. Not just that, if I just hit on the arrow over here, I can see that Adam has added Lewis and Harvey to his team, whereas Andrew has added Mike, Lewis, and Rachel to his team. Now you may also observe that we have a player, Lewis, who is actually available in both the teams. So that means Lewis is performing well in simple words. So what happens is, let's say Andrew, who has created the team, he sees that, oh, I have already 900 points and I have taken Rachel in my team, who is yet to open the account. So if I am Andrew, what I'll be doing is I'll be going to Rachel and say, hey Rachel, I trust you and I believe in your capabilities and I have taken you in my team and I want you to perform well, because my team is going to win only in case you, Lewis, and Mike, all of them are performing exceptionally well. Is there anything I can do to help you achieve more and more number of points? Isn't it a classic example of a great team bonding? So the strategies are being exchanged. In case if I am an expertise, a subject matter expert, let's say in accounts, and if Rachel is a salesperson who is actually having a cold call, they are working under cold calls. So I might help Rachel giving my domain knowledge. Let's say, hey, if you're talking to an accounts guy, why don't you use terms like 1, 2, and 3, which is going to intrigue the interest. So what happens? As an experienced person, I am also helping another colleague, another team member, thereby Rachel going from 0 to, let's say, 300, 400, 600, Rachel herself scoring good score, and thereby also helping Andrew to achieve and overachieve the game. That is the power of Gamifix 365. Now, one of the most common questions that I again come across is, will my sales representative have the time to always go on to log into this web portal? Don't worry, we have got it covered. So with Gamifix 365, we also have, like I mentioned, a mobile app. So right now, let me just open up the Canvas app, which is actually installed in my phone. Just give me a second. Let me just connect my mobile. And here it is. So as a user, I'll just open my Power Apps. say all apps, and that's where my Gamifix 365 I can find it off. Let me just open the Gamifix 365. Now I have logged in as a Rachel in this case. So at the top right, I can look at my own avatar that I have created, how many games I have played, how many badges I have already earned, how many points I have earned. Let me just go back. I can also look at my today. So I have today covered up, I have earned 20 points under the Cold Call Warriors game, and I am a part of 3 live games that are being happening. So let me show the second tab. The first tab, the home tab. The second one is the games one. So I can see all my live games, the games that have already been completed, and the games that have been scheduled. So one of the games, which is the Cold Call Warriors for APAC region, it's about to start for the month of July. So it starts on 1st of July. And like I had mentioned in the initial time where the key features were discussed, the player can join in right from their mobile itself. Now, let me go to the home section and let me hit on the name of the game, which is the Cold Call Warriors. I can also see that I am right now at number 1 position with 60 points. Now, this is very, very interesting factor. So every time a user, now I can relate to this as from a sales background, because the moment I'll see my name as number 1 with 60 points, I have an added responsibility that I need to maintain my number 1. Now, to maintain that number 1 position, I might put up much extra effort so that I don't lose that number 1 spot, right? So let me hit on the name of the game, which is the Cold Call Warriors. And here I can see the leaderboard, the game rules that have been applied, and the badges that can be earned. So the bronze is for 50 points, the silver is for 100 points, and gold is for 250 points. So that's an interesting factor. And this mobile app basically also helps the user to not necessarily log into the web portal every time. Whenever as a user I have time, I can just take up the mobile and I can see what is the current ranking, where I am standing, what needs to be done, and so on and so on. One of the things that I also want to touch base is, let me just show with a different login. The fantasy games that we just saw, wherein it's a good way to motivate the people. So since Andrew was a part of this, fantasy team, let me show you what exactly or how exactly the view would be for Andrew. So here is the Andrew one, and he's a part of the Cold Call Warriors fantasy game to be more precise. And this is my team, which is Andrew team, and this is the Adam team, right? So he can easily see that Andrew team is currently at 900 position with 900 points at number 1 position, and the team Adam team is right now at 500 points and at the number 2 position, and the badges that he can earn and so on and so forth. Now, with that being said, let me just tell you about. In fact, I would like to know from you, which is the activity that you might be interested to gamify at your end. So in your organization, which activity do you think can be gamified? Whether it's motivating the agents for more and more phone calls, whether it is motivating reps with more and more lead qualification. or whether it is servicing reps, or finally, whether it is multiple possibilities, this can be applied everywhere. So the polls have already started coming in. Multiple possibilities. Yes, I totally agree. Multiple possibilities. This can be applied everywhere. Oh, service reps as well. Right, definitely. So it's a kind of mixed one. So thank you for casting your vote. Let me just hit on close. So yes, I agree with most of the people. Selecting one or the other option is quite tricky because I want to, the bottom line is I want to motivate whether it is agents, representatives, the service representatives. I can apply it everywhere through that. Now that's pretty much at the 1000 feet level of what Gamifix 365 has to offer. We would love to have a one-on-one demonstration with you. And if this thought resonates with you as well, just drop an email to crm@inogic.com and we will be happy to provide an even more detailed oriented demonstration. And we will also try to incorporate your business use cases during the demonstration, which will enable you to get a more gist of the solution. For time being, let me switch back to my presentation. Well, the Gamifix 365 is supported on Microsoft Dynamics 365 version 9.0 onwards and in Dataverse. And the deployment model of Gamifix 365 is Dynamics 365 Online. Now, I am sure by now you might be excited to get hands-on on this awesome solution. Requesting you to download a fully functional 15 days trial from our website www.inogic.com, or you can also download it from Microsoft App Stores. Now, we heavily recommend you to download, install, and configure the solution and experience the power of gamification and its wonders that it brings to the business. Now, before I move to the next section, I would also like to take one moment and introduce you to another awesome application offering by Inogic, the User Adoption Monitor. With Gamifix 365, we can motivate the users. The more and more entries that they are making, the more and more points they are getting, the badges are being awarded, and so on. The next level is once you engage the user, the next level is to monitor whether the user has actually started adopting the CRM. Now, that's where our another solution, the user adoption monitor, comes into the picture. I would also like to request, take a few moments, visit our website www.inogic.com and have a look at the awesome solution of user adoption monitor. So just to give a gist, the Gamifix 365 is all about increasing the engagement with the CRM users, and the user adoption monitor, on the other hand, it's about monitoring how the users have started using and adopting the Dynamics CRM. Now, before I take the questions from the chat, let me run through some of the FAQs. How will the Gamifix 365 benefit the CRM users? Now, I think my entire webinar was dedicated for the benefits. It improves the team bonding, it improves the engagement, it motivates, and so on. Is Gamifix 365 compatible across devices? Definitely yes. I also had an opportunity to present the mobile app, demonstrate how the mobile app looks. So it's compatible across devices. Is there any limit to creating games with Gamifix 365 and Dynamics 365 CRM? Absolutely no. There is no limit to create the games. Like I had mentioned at the initial stage of the webinar, you can create multiple games at multiple levels and thereby increase the engagement. What Microsoft Dynamics products do you support? Well, we support Dynamics 365 version 9.0 onwards and in Dataverse, and the deployment model is 365 Dynamics 365 Online. Can we create customized games with Gamifix 365? Just a minute. Can we create customized games with Gamifix 365? Of course, yes. I also had a great opportunity today to introduce games with multiple rules that you can create. And finally, how to get started? Well, please visit Microsoft App Source, or you can visit www.inogic.com. Download a fully functional 15 days trial, and you can then start exploring the solution. Also, once you install the trial version, the fully functional trial version, in case if you want us to help you with the configuring, or if you want to have a one-on-one demonstration, do drop an email to crm@inogic.com, and we'll be happy to take it forward from there. With that, let me open the Q&A session. In case if you have any question, please do drop the question in the chat window. I've already got the question. Fantastic application. Can it be used, or is it used for engagement? First of all, thank you so much for the kind words for the Gamifix 365. I totally agree. It's a fantastic product. Will it increase the engagement? Well, that's the goalpost that we want to achieve. Yes, we want to increase the engagement of the users with the Dynamics CRM, and that's where Gamifix 365 is going to help. Another question: can we have a demonstration for case and solving of the cases? I would love to present that as well. I would request you to drop an email to crm@inogic.com, and I'll ensure that we take it forward from there, and you get a demonstration for the case. Any more questions? I'd be happy to answer them. Just use the chat window to ask the question, and I'll be happy to respond. Okay, I guess that's it then. So let me take this moment here and thank you for attending the Gamifix 365 webinar. It was my real pleasure in presenting the Gamifix 365 solution, and I hope you liked it as well. Do tell us your feedback or connect with us if you have any requirements by dropping a mail at crm@inogic.com.